Hey guys, Matt Masur from Clickstream Studios. Welcome to another edition of Good News York. This is really fun. We've got an incredible guest I'm going to introduce you to in a second here. And I'm also very excited because later in this episode, you're going to get to see an interview that we recorded a couple weeks ago at the launch event for something very exciting is actually what we're here to talk about. So without further ado, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell folks what you do. I love that.
I'm happy to. I'm Carrie Welch. I'm the launch director for the Center for the Creator Economy at Syracuse University.
Wow.
I'm also an adjunct professor there at the Newhouse School. So I've got a couple jobs, but both of which I really, really love because for me, it's just kind of about creating things and talking to the students about them.
That's incredible. So let's dive into this. And as I mentioned, we recorded some interviews and some other things you
That's
folks are going to
great.
see later in this episode from the launch event that you held right at Newhouse. Fantastic space, first of all. What a
Yeah.
great spot to do that.
And it was actually at Whitman, which is our
I'm
business
sorry.
school. No, it's okay. But the center that I'm a part of is sort of the brainchild of both Whitman, our business
Yes.
school, and Newhouse, our communications school. So anything in the creator economy around content creation, you can imagine it makes sense for communications and business to
100%.
align. So yeah, we threw this very large, very fun launch event that we were so happy to have you all with
Yeah.
us that night. And we were trying to bring the center to life because the center is about content that can bring us all together and make meaning in different ways.
Sure.
There's really no content category that the creator economy doesn't touch right now. It's news, it's lifestyle, it's sports, it's gaming.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do is surround students with resources and ideas that help speak to the fact that they're creating content now at that event in their dorm room
Yeah.
and they're monetizing. So everything is really sophisticated and there's not a lot of barriers to entry. So we thought we would celebrate that.
I love that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is sort of the first in the nation of
It
a
is.
program like this,
It's
right?
the first academic program of its kind. Yes.
It's incredible, and I love this partnership between the two schools. You know, merging the traditional, the creative, the everything with the business folks, because that is this world, right?
It really
This
is.
content world, I think, unlike even traditional advertising, even I think is a lot more of that meld of business and creativity, right?
Yeah, what I started to see during our launch events, and I don't know if you felt similarly, but I came up in the 80s and 90s when things were expensive
Mhm.
and difficult, and we had floppy disks that didn't work most of the
Yeah.
time, and we're blowing on them, and the Nintendo cartridges
Yep.
where you're just like, those tricks still work a little bit
Yeah.
with like DVDs, and my kids sometimes are just like, "Mommy, I can't believe that actually worked." I'm like, "Me neither." But we came up in a time when technology was difficult, and now technology is a lot easier. There's
Yeah.
parts that are hard for sure, and there's different levels. But what I started to realize is that everything that maybe you and I might have thought of as that's for an ad agency or that's like something sophisticated that a marketing firm has to
Mhm.
handle is right in the palm of students' hands and it's
Yeah.
in their phones and they can do all of it themselves. So I started to realize what an opportunity we have to join in on that. And I think that that Vice Chancellor Mike Haney was the he's the one that kind of decided that the center needed to take shape.
Yeah.
And what he says is that where the students are already doing this, so why not give them the resources to learn even more? Because we can teach them how to make sure that they know how to negotiate a contract and that they're not going to get taken advantage of.
Sure.
We can teach them how to make a PR plan for their content. So there are ways that the academic resources can enter in a way that's still natural.
Yeah. I think that's phenomenal. And this
Yeah.
is so exciting because, you know, obviously we at Clickstream Studios, we're a content creation, content marketing company. And we've sort of hyper focused on that, but we're certainly not the first company agency to do that sort of thing. But then we, you know, look around for talent and there's people who are incredibly talented, but most of them are not necessarily formally trained. It's because they've figured this out on their own, and you know, to have the ability to have a, you know, Syracuse University grade student, you know, graduate to come join the team is huge. So
Yeah.
um,
I think
I
that's a little
know.
bit of what we're aiming to do too, is to provide people in this creator economy, creators who are even more savvy, who are even better trained,
Yeah.
who understand all aspects of the business. Because we say a lot that we're not just creating shooters, we're not
Hmm.
just creating camera people with phones. We're creating editors. We're helping to engender the next kind of communicators around the creator economy too.
I love that. If you wouldn't mind, let's drill down on that a little bit,
Yeah.
because one of the things I wanted to ask you is kind of what this program looks like. And if I'm a prospective student, what might appeal to me, or what might I do in this program?
Yeah, so the program right now, what Vice Chancellor Haney, Dean Mark Lodato, Senior Dean Regina Luttrell, and Dean Alex McKelvey, which is the leadership team of this center. So we've got some really talented minds working on all of this. We're aligning around 3 pillars. So I'll explain the 3 because they're kind of big. They have a lot to them, but that's kind of the idea.
Sure.
So we're aligning around academics, obviously, because we're a university, that's what we do. So there's about 35 different courses that we've identified that already exist within Newhouse and Whitman that can be aligned towards the center. So we have a lot of resources to draw on that are already in place that students can take courses that are Center for the Creator Economy designated courses. So when somebody's coming in as a prospective student, they'll know that there's a strong foundation there for them. We are also looking at new additions and new ideas to that, but that's obviously very much in progress because if you can believe it, this thing started right before Halloween. So it was October. So we've been moving very quickly. But that's
that
the
also
first.
Speaks to the industry a little bit.
Well,
too.
yeah,
I think
exactly.
That's incredibly impressive to pivot like that.
It is, yes, it's
or
very
launch, rather.
Yeah, it's kind of a launch and a few pivots, you know, just figuring out what makes the most sense. And along the lines with the academics is a research arm. So we're putting together a research team because that also probably makes sense, right? Where we have graduate students and undergraduate students that are going to help to produce a report on the creator economy. We're hoping to make it annual.
Wow.
And we're hoping to touch all the different content categories: sports, gaming, news, politics. There's so much going on in politics right now for creators.
100%.
And obviously we all know that the state of journalism is changing. So it's interesting to address that through both Newhouse and Whitman.
Wow.
Researchers who are already, we have professors and graduate students who are already doing dissertations and doing publication level work on this. So we're going to gather those resources and put that in the academic category.
Wow.
So that's one pillar.
Yeah.
So our second pillar is industry. So industry has been reaching out to us left and right. We are very, very lucky to be talking to all the major tech companies, to be talking to anyone who has a content creation platform. We're talking to agents, managers, the people who represent the top creators in the country. Some of the top creators in the country themselves have reached out to us just to say, we think this is a really good idea. So what we're trying to do is figure out exactly how to partner with them, because academia and industry meeting in the middle is a really new and different idea. We're not the only ones trying to do that part, but we are trying as the first academic center for the creator economy to figure out how to do it in a way that makes sense on both sides. So those partnerships are forming / being discussed and developed right now. And then the last pillar is the students themselves. So we have drop-ins with students at the center. We have the drop-ins are meant to be a moment for them to collaborate, create, give us their feedback. What do you want to see from this center? Because if we're not building this thing with them, this is for them.
100%.
And if we're not building it with them, we know in terms of creator economy ethos, that's not going to fly. So so those are just, a few things we're working on.
Let me ask you this. As you're putting all these things together, what plans do you have for kind of student involvement in sort of steering these things? Because I feel like a lot of this industry is led by these young folks that
very much
need to educate us as much as vice versa.
Well, I have an extremely talented project coordinator. His name is Thomas O'Brien, and he is a creator himself. So we have somebody on the ground who really knows this. Like, I love to create content myself, but I'm 48 years old, so I am not in the game as much as someone like a Thomas. And Thomas also went to Syracuse, just graduated, is still kind of like tied to all the student creators on campus. He's made a bunch of the videos on our Center for the Creator Economy accounts.
Okay.
He's kind of what I like to call the executive producer of the platforms that we control. And what we're working on right now, he has all these incredible ideas of ongoing series that students can help produce.
Yeah.
And that's, anyone who's been in production in any sort of like way, shape, or form knows that as long as you have a good idea to get behind, we can figure out how to shoot it and create it. So that's what we're working on right now, where there would almost be like a creator crew that would be responsible for TikTok, Instagram. I'm hoping to expand to Substack, which is one of my favorite creator platforms because I love the written word, but we'll see. So I think that once we start to build those out, maybe even into sort of like different student-led teams, we feel, and Thomas and I just talked about this morning, which it really blew me away. He said, the content is the bridge. And I was just like, that's it. Because everyone thinks content's so easy to create, but it's not,
Right.
especially not content that's really meaningful.
Yeah. And kind of along those lines, we also have this world of algorithms to deal with, right?
Yes.
So that's our biggest challenge as an organization, trying to help all kinds of different businesses and people navigate all these different platforms. Is that something the program will speak to? Is kind of demystifying these algorithms?
Definitely. I can say with 100% confidence, we'll be talking about algorithms and we'll be talking about AI.
Yeah.
Because we already are at Syracuse. So I teach in Newhouse's public relations program, and we are talking about AI and algorithms and how it all works every day.
Yeah.
Because what we know is that the students are surrounded by it. There's tools. They know for the most part how algorithms work. They don't necessarily know, let's say that TikTok is an interest-based algorithm and Facebook and Instagram used to be a social graphing algorithm. But if you tell them that, they're like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And also to understand that every other algorithm for every other social media platform has followed TikTok since it became wildly successful. And now we don't care who your friends and family are. We just care what you're interested in. And are you watching this video for 3 to 5 seconds? So I think that knowing that knowledge is power. So if you know that, then you have a little bit more power over those algorithms, which is helpful for the just, sheer addictiveness of social media. But then we can also have them use algorithms to their advantage when they're doing content creation to make sure that their content is seen, interacted with. And again, just trying to find, I hesitate to say the word meaningful again, but just to find a place where we can make content that actually does something, that isn't a throwaway, that for the students really furthers their interests or whatever it is that they're looking to get out of it. I think that that's what at least our program and then the center is always trying to offer.
That's great. That's such an incredible thing. For folks that aren't versed on this, parents even thinking about where to send their kids, can you give a little outlook on just what the job market is? What are the careers and what's that look like for folks from this program?
Oh, it's such a good question. I think that there's so much that's undefined right now. And I think that's not breaking news by any means. But I'm a parent too. I have a 7 and 11-year-old, and I'm just like, what is work even going to look like for them? Are we going to be on like universal basic income by then? I think that the nature of work is changing. My research at Syracuse is also in AI. So I work on the team that develops strategies for AI detection. And it's an interesting place to be because I've read a lot of studies on what's working, what's not working. Is it AI? Isn't it AI? And a lot of what we're coming down on right now is not, is it AI or not? We're going to become savvy and know whether it's AI or not. We're also going to start to assume that we are talking to an AI when we're talking to customer service and things like that. So I think that the world is starting to shift kind of, and no matter how you feel about AI, that shift is still happening. And believe me, there's many misgivings that I have as a parent as well, where I'm just like, are they just going to be pushing buttons all day? But I think that there's a lot of creativity. I think there's a lot of efficiency that comes with AI as well that can be really helpful. So it's a humongous trade-off. Are we trading data centers for efficiency is a great question. But I think that the nature of work for graduating seniors and those who are coming into school now is a humongous question. But I, and also in my 5 jobs that I have, I'm a consultant. So I have my own business that my wife and I run, and we do public relations and marketing and events, which is why I was tapped for this launch director role. So in my work world, we are using AI all day, every day. And so there's not a client that doesn't require it. There's not a client that's not using it themselves. So to think that we wouldn't be integrating that into what we do in our academic work seems, at least to me, sort of not really possible. Like that's not sustainable. So when I start to see that what the work world looks like, there's still lots of opportunities. They're just going to be very different. Is entry level going to look the same? Probably not. Are some of those white collar jobs going to change? I would say yes. And I think that there's so many different industry reports and mainstream media coverage that would sort of support what I'm saying, that it's not that there won't be jobs, it's that those jobs are going to look really different.
100%.
I actually had a guest lecture with a person from a leading PR firm down in DC come in this past semester, and he said, it might be a good thing in terms of public relations jobs, where when you start as a public relations assistant, you're doing a lot of the dirty work.
Yeah.
Like you're doing research and you're building media lists and you're kind of just doing all the Excel spreadsheets that
Yep.
the business needs. Maybe you won't be doing that. Maybe AI will help you do that, and you'll be able to go have lunch with clients and build in-person relationships. So I think that the nature of work is definitely changing, but I can definitely understand being very nervous going
Yeah.
into this graduating class for sure.
I'm completely with you. And, at the same time, I guess, old enough to remember the time when computers were going to take all our
Mm.
jobs. Remember that? It's
And the internet and
Yeah.
yeah.
And to me, it's just that evolution. I mean, you go all the way back to, interchangeable parts that we learned about, and Ford and factories and things. But to me, it's a tool,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
I also think about, I might even take that farther than most people go in terms of what I am cool with, I guess, when it comes to AI. Because I think about things like, people in art. And for years, we had these incredible artists and they used paint and brush and canvas. And a computer came along and we had Photoshop and people started making art with a mouse. And everybody, oh, that's not art. Graphic design is a massive industry and it's very well respected. And I think this sort of goes along the same way. Now, AI does a lot for us that we're not used to, but it's still a tool at the end of the day. And to me, it's the product of what you put in. And obviously there's some levels there, but
Yeah.
that's kind of the way I look at it. And, I also look at some of these things and today obviously is a lot different than it's going to be in a few years, but to date, AI has created far more jobs than it's eliminated. And, I'm cautiously optimistic that it is going to be more of a shift than anything else. I don't think you're going to find millions of people out of work. They will be in different types of jobs potentially. And to me, that's sort of the evolution of life. But
Yeah.
again, maybe I have a little more rosy view than some. But
I think
as a tech guy, I try not to be overly worried about things, even though they're very valid.
Yeah, I
concerns.
agree. I think there's an optimism to be had for sure. And I also think that this is massive technological change that we've been working towards and wanting for over, I don't know, 80 years. So people think that AI is new. It started in the
Right.
1950s. The
Right.
government has funded AI research since then, and we have only been held back because of the technology. The microchips are the
Sure.
key, that we can actually fit the compute on something
Yeah.
to power the AI. That's only been available since 2022. And I think that, it's hard when ChatGPT explodes on the scene in 2022 and people say, oh, that's AI. It's like, sure, that's one iteration of AI.
Sure.
But to your point, it's been evolving for a really long time. And I also wonder, my view when we start to talk about, shooting data centers up into space and like solar panels and things like that, which I think are really innovative ideas, but
Yeah.
also like there was a NASA scientist that said, like, have you ever been to space? Like, it's actually kind of hard to do these things. So there's going to be a lot that has to evolve and unfold. But I think that the value of human creation would also exponentially increase, because it might be more rare to see something that's been created by you or I.
Yeah.
And you brought up art. I did my thesis. I did my master's at Newhouse because I'm all in on Newhouse, if you can't tell. But I did my master's at Newhouse on, are women artists using AI in their creative process or not? And the answer was 50-50. It was 20 women and 10 of them were and 10 of them weren't. And I think that kind of represents how people feel right now about it.
Yeah.
So there's so many benefits. And also we can't even get into like the benefits of healthcare.
Sure.
And people who like disability research. There's just going to be so many strides made in those areas that are kind of undeniable. But then again, it comes with pretty massive trade-offs.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
I could talk AI all day. We
No,
can
I
keep
love it.
going on that.
I love it. And I love to hear that, again, one of the top universities in the country is all over these things. And the fact that, these are the priorities that the school is giving these students, it's great.
Yeah.
Especially because it's in Syracuse. And that's exactly where we need these things. So I love to lead right here at home.
Well, with Micron coming, we got to be ready.
100%.
So, yeah. But I also just think that what I really love about Syracuse, and I've lived in New York City, I lived in Portland, Oregon, and I knew that I always had my Syracuse in the back of my mind because I knew that Newhouse, I'm a communicator, so I knew that that's eventually where I wanted to be.
Gotcha.
But I just think that for Syracuse, the city, what an amazing gem to have, where it truly, the university truly is 100% focused on leading. Like it's like, what is the next thing that we could be doing?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about on campus, truly.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. And you're certainly leading like this. Like we said, this is the first program in the country. Sort of surprising that it's the first program in the country. I'm guessing that this spark will ignite pretty quickly in different places. But you know, as you've mentioned, this creator economy, it didn't, you know, pop up this summer. It's been things that has been a booming industry, and people have been making billions of dollars for a number of years at this point. So love to see it get this attention that it deserves. And these resources. One other thing I'll ask you. So if folks want to find out more about this, what's the best way, whether you're a prospective student or somebody like me, a business person who wants to tap into this talent?
Yeah, I think so. We have a website, creatoreconomy.syr.edu. And then I would also encourage people to follow our Instagram and TikTok accounts, particularly Instagram, because I think that's where you can get a real sense of, as the young ones say, the vibe that we're going for, but also just to really see the content and sort of how we're attaching meaning to it in action, because I think that that's really important. What you just said, I think, is very poignant, that it's $500 billion that Goldman Sachs estimates will be invested in the creator economy. And that report was from 2023. So it's just, it's huge. And I think that it's not this, I think a lot of folks tend to kind of like downplay the creator economy, and they say, oh, it's just TikTok and it's just dancing and that kind of stuff. And sure, that's kind of how it started.
Yeah.
But it's really evolved into a business. And I think we have to treat it that way. And we have to understand that, for example, we have students where I'm thinking of this wonderful student. She has a brand business out of her sorority. And so she receives products from brands and she posts about them on Instagram, TikTok, etc. LinkedIn is one of her platforms that she finds a lot of success on. I know. So it's not the, you know, the big two always.
Yeah.
And then she also gives those products to her sorority sisters. So there's maybe like upwards of like 20 or 30 women who are receiving this perfume or whatever it might be. And the brands know that not only is she the target audience, so are all of those other women, and it kind of grows out from there. And it's an incredible way to think about influencing. You know, we talk about influencers and all that, but like to truly influence someone to buy something and change their behavior, this is the way that brands are enacting that now.
100%. That's something that I don't know if we've talked about it a lot, but we've announced recently that Clickstream Studios, we're expanding to downtown Syracuse.
Congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you. I'm very excited. It'll be a little over 16,000 square feet is the size of our facility.
You know, no big deal.
And we're going to be doing a wide variety of things. But one of the things that we're going to be leaning heavily into is this live social selling.
Oh, yes.
And this is very much kind of along the lines of what you were talking about, where what we'll do is, for brands that have a product, we'll provide the talent, the set, the tech, everything. We'll go live and sell their products. But that feeds into exactly kind of what you're talking about. And I think it's interesting. People don't necessarily understand how some of these influencer programs work, where you can do that. We have that capability. We can go live and I can go and talk to 1,000 people, however many watch me. But also, all of these other folks that have a following can now also go sell my product. And they make a little piece of it. And it becomes an incredible way to sell a product these days, where, you know, it used to be a matter of, we got a TV ad and this one's real clever and, you know, maybe it's good, maybe it catches attention or not, but there's nothing like, you know, and people don't, I don't know, I feel like they get sick of the word influencer, but it really is the most accurate word, because it's, you know, folks, and I think what a lot of people don't understand is these micro influencers.
Yes.
We're not necessarily talking about people with millions of followers anymore. It could be a few thousand, but you've got a few thousand good friends and a couple hundred of them will buy that product. You're incredibly valuable to brands. So we think this is an incredible world, and we're investing heavily into doing these sorts of things and learning these things that so many folks don't even realize exist. You know? So it's just really exciting.
Do you think that some of it's because it's been driven by like sort of the Gen Z kind of cohort, where they almost created their own thing in their own platforms? And then some of us, myself very much included, we were like, hey, what are you guys doing over there? And then by the time we realized what they were doing, I'm like, I'm sorry, what's happening? There's
Yeah.
like a multi-million-dollar business coming out of your dorm room. Like that's kind of what I've been working with bloggers and influencers my whole career. So I have a 20-year public relations, communications, events career where I remember when somebody said to me, oh, you need to reach out to bloggers, not just traditional media. And I was like, why? And then when I started reaching out to them, they had that loyal audience. It was all written on websites back then. And then it morphed into influencers. And then we were sending people products on Instagram and like, will you review this? Or will you come to this event and post about it? Those are all like very quaint by today's standards. And now it's just this, we have a term sheet that we would send to a creator. We would say, this is what we would like you to do. Here are some suggested captions, and they can say yes or no as to whether they would actually use them. And it's just it's a real business relationship. And I think that people don't realize that young people today are very savvy. I mean, I go to these creator events and they're throwing around words like IP and they're saying like, I can't engage with that brand because it doesn't align with my values, and I won't give my IP to someone who doesn't align with my values. And I'm just like, where am I? You're 19 years old.
Right.
But it's incredible because there's no barrier to entry at all anymore.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's interesting. There's been people like Gary Vaynerchuk who've been
I
trying
love
to beat
Gary
this
V.
drum for a long time and explain to parents that it's a different world, and where your teenager has figured out a way to make revenue. Something that I was just trying to sleep late. That was my intention as a 19-year-old. But it is very much led that way. But it's interesting to see how quickly it catches on. So as much as I've had these conversations with people and talked about it, and people, I didn't know they did that TikTok shop. I didn't know that was a thing. I've had other people that go, yeah, my 84-year-old mother is shopping on there all day long.
Yep.
And it's very interesting that how it spans,
It can be a modern day QVC.
100%. That's how I describe it, honestly.
Yeah.
Is exactly that way. And it's neat though, and when you think about it, you drill back and you go, well, why is this working? I was like, well, everybody loves the convenience of e-commerce, but we miss the experience of going to the store and asking a salesperson a question about a thing. Now you can do that on a live stream. Now, here's 1,000 other people and I'm showing you this product, but I can ask, hey, does that lid close? Or, and you get that sort of human interaction. And then they mix the community element that you got out of all kinds of content. So now maybe I'm not even in the market, but I like this person. So now I'm watching their sales show and eventually I will buy something, It's a very interesting whole new world.
But this is a forward-thinking model that you all are jumping on, because this is very popular in China.
Yes.
And very popular TikTok in China and other Asian countries, I know. But the U.S. has not adopted this as sort of like a tactic, a technique, whatever you want to call it. So I think the fact that you're getting in on that early is very smart.
That's our hope.
Yeah, we'll cross our fingers for that, right?
To that point, there is one company out in California that I think is doing a really great job at it. And the gentleman who started that was very experienced in the Asian markets, and that's why he's been able to do that. But to date, and it doesn't mean there aren't some that haven't marketed themselves well, but we haven't found anybody else even remotely close to that. So we'll be maybe the second, definitely the first on the East Coast.
I have someone that was in my cohort in my grad program who did his entire dissertation on this topic. So if you need research,
I would love.
You know who to call.
I would love that.
Or who to direct message, as it were.
Because that's the other thing is, as much as we're jumping in with both feet, this is a new thing for all parties. So we will be as knowledgeable on it as can be, but that's not necessarily saying a lot at this point. You know what I mean?
We also have to figure out what the American model is going to look like for this, because it will be culturally very different, I imagine. So
we're seeing very interesting things. What's very interesting to me that I've talked to a number of people about is you're seeing this take off very much, but it's not necessarily the big name brands yet. You're seeing people that are selling things that are almost sort of like flea market
like
items.
Underground.
They're generic things that you can buy in bulk and things of this nature. You're not necessarily seeing these big names, and I think that's very much coming, and that's the part that I'm excited about. When the Milwaukee Tools or the General Mills or whatever, these household names dig into this, it's going to be a real thing.
It's so interesting because it reminds me of when social media platforms started, that it was kind of underground to start. It's like any media, though. You could talk about like most, like the internet was underground to start and then became a big thing. And I wonder too, because it's the progression for some of the social media platforms has been that it's sort of like ours, and it's our neat little community that we love. Like, remember when Facebook was fun,
Yep.
before it got weird? And then it's like it grows and grows, and then the big brands come in and they kind of blow it up, which is good, but also bad because it gets mainstreamed
Right.
and different. But I imagine in this space, it's going to be essential, because if you don't have those big brands, you don't
Sure.
have the money that you need.
I think that's going to be the case.
It's an
But
interesting
like I said,
catch-22, though.
I think it's coming, and the opportunities for all things. I'm of the mindset that you can sell just about anything that way, and
Yeah.
I look forward to proving or disproving that, I guess, as the case may be.
Well,
But
somebody's got to do it. So
yeah,
why
right?
not you?
That's exactly that's what I say.
Yeah.
Carrie, I don't want to take too much more of your time. I know you've got 5 different jobs that
You
you've got
know,
to
I love
get to, but
I love all my jobs, and I enjoy talking about them with you. So thank you for having me.
absolutely, and definitely, you're welcome back anytime. One of the things we're going to do in the new place is there will be a brand new set for Good News York for this show, and ideally it'll be live
Oh, great.
in the morning. So
Yeah.
we're going to take that to the next level, and hopefully that works well. But
That's so exciting.
we're going to be able to do a lot of fun stuff. So
Well, my legacy TV background supports your live
love it.
broadcast, because there's nothing like live.
I'm completely with you. I'm completely with you. I missed that. I spent a lot of time on Twitch watching all kinds of random
Oh my
programming because
gosh.
I don't know. There's something about I don't want to decide what to watch. I just want to flip it on and watch it. I don't know.
Oh, well, I have an 11-year-old gamer, so
Mhm.
he's like, Mom, when can I go on Twitch? And I'm like, maybe like 16, 18, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a little while.
Yeah, it gets a little adult there.
Although now I'm teaching him how to edit, because I see from my work on the center just how essential, basically, video editing skills. If I can give any like unsolicited advice to parents, I'm like, just teach your kids how to edit video.
100%.
Like, do CapCut, do Premiere, do anything. Just they need to come out of college knowing how to make a video.
It used to be code. Remember when we told everybody teach your kid how to code, teach your kid how to edit.
Right? Yeah.
100%.
Oh my gosh.
My 8-year-old has a couple of videos on YouTube that are more viral than half the ones we make. So I probably shouldn't even say that out loud, but
It's true for my son
incredible.
too. Yeah, yeah.
You know what these young folks can do. So
Yeah. What a world. Here we go.
right.
Yeah.
So with that, Carrie, let's end on and just kind of the resources. I know we gave the website and things, but anything else in particular you want to point folks at if they want to learn more? Pretty much the website and social is probably the best spot.
Yeah, I think that the website and the social is where you can really get a sense of what we're doing right now. And there's just so much more to come. Like, we are very much in development on all of those pillars and ideas that we have going. There's on the website, there is an email that I check and that Thomas checks.
Perfect.
So if people want to communicate with us more directly, they should definitely hit that email.
And then just out of curiosity, how about for students? Is the program open? Can they start enrolling and things like that? How's that work?
That is still very much under development. I believe that next year is when we're going to start announcing when that will be available.
That's great. I know we had a couple of SU interns this past semester, and they couldn't have been more excited and slightly disappointed that this thing didn't exist before they started. But I know the students and everybody are really excited about this.
That's one thing that we hear from students and alumni both, that this is really validating how they feel the direction of this industry is going. So that's really awesome for us.
I can tell you both the folks we had, one was a Whitman and one was a Newhouse student, and they both very much are going into what we're talking about here, these types of careers. So
you had like a test case in here.
It was great.
It was great.
Oh, we had incredible, two
Excellent.
incredible people. So they set the bar high for all future interns.
Syracuse does that. We tend to do that.
They do, absolutely. But with that, we will let you go and finish up this episode of Good News York. So thanks for sticking around. Peace out.